Hey guys, what is going on? Dylan here from fabricationguy.com, and today we're going to talk about how to not get scammed by buying a lesser version of the 3/8 impact from Milwaukee. Milwaukee has a really large lineup of impacts, and it can be incredibly confusing when it comes time to purchase one because they really don't do a good job at laying out all the stats and specs on a table to very easily identify which is the best impact. So in today's video, I've done that for you, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the different impacts and why I believe these are your best options. In the M18 category, I'm going to highly recommend the 2852-20, and I'll have a link in the video description to this impact on Amazon. So if you guys are going to buy it on Amazon, you can check it out there. They oftentimes have really good deals. And in the M12 category, I have the 2554-20. I believe this is the best M12 3/8 impact, and I'll have a link to that in the video description as well. So let's go ahead and start with the M18s. I'm going to walk you guys through the entire lineup, and then we'll go through the M12, and then I'll talk at the end M18 versus M12. So on the M18 lineup, these first two impacts here, just cross off your list. The 2651-20 and the 2658-20, very, very similar. Both non-brushless, 167 foot-pounds of fastening torque. They both come in at about 6 inches. When we're talking about inches, guys, we're talking about this measurement here at the top. This is going to determine whether you can get your impact into tighter spaces. The longer it is, obviously, the less spaces you can get it into. And it comes in at 2.6 pounds for this one, 4.1 pounds for this one. The reason I say cross these off your list is the fastening torque is not very high at all, and they are also non-brushless, or they have brushed motors. And with the price that they're charging for these impacts, I highly recommend you spend just a little bit more and you upgrade to a brushless version with way better specs. So just cross these off of your list. Now, moving on to the M18 Fuel 3/8 compact impacts. Both of these impacts are the same right here. The 2758-20 and the 2754-20 are the exact same impacts. The only difference is that the 2758-20 includes a system called One Key. This is a connecting system that you can use the app and manage your tools via the app. If that's something you want, great. Typically, I think it's kind of gimmicky if you're just a guy, one guy using your tools. I don't really find it to be very useful, and it just adds extra cost. So personally, I recommend the 2754-20. I would just cross this off your list. But this impact here is okay. It is brushless. It has 210 foot-pounds of fastening torque, which is not that great. And it has measures in at 5.9 inches, 2.4 pounds. So it is a lightweight, little bit smaller impact, but the performance numbers are not really there. And there's an M12 impact that really beats this both in size and performance, and I think that's a better buy, and that's the one that we highlighted over on the M12 side, which we'll talk about in a minute. However, if you're still looking for the best M18 3/8 impact, you're going to want to get the 2852-20. Now, the reason this impact, I believe, is the best is it's brushless. It's got 450 foot-pounds of fastening torque and 600 foot-pounds of nut-busting torque. I mean, that is huge for a 3/8 impact. Now, keep in mind, it is quite a bit bigger. Measures in at 6.7 inches and 5.3 pounds. So if you're someone who really doesn't need these torque numbers, there's a very good chance that you would be better off buying a more compact impact if you're working on something like cars or something where you have to get into really tight spaces. However, for me, generally, when I'm working in tight spaces, oftentimes I use the Milwaukee ratchets. So for me, having a 3/8 impact, I pretty much just want the biggest and best one that I can get using just for all types of applications. It's pretty much, for me, just a replacement of my pneumatic gun. So the 2852-20 for me is just the absolute best value. It has tons of power. And don't get me wrong, you can strip out bolts and stuff with this kind of power, but Milwaukee does include speed settings right here near the battery where you can turn it down and you can adjust the torque. So you're not going to be, stripping out bolts accidentally. And another interesting fact is that the 2852-20 is really not that much more expensive than the rest of these. So if you can get away with the size and the weight of this impact, I think it is your absolute best buy because it just has the best performance for the price, and it really gives you the capacity to break any bolt with that kind of torque with a 3/8. Now, if you're a guy that's like, that's too big of a gun for me, I want something smaller, let's head over to the M12 line and take a look at that, because the M12 line has some really, really interesting impacts that are a lot smaller. Now, the one we're going to recommend from the M12 line is the 2554-20. Now, the reason we recommend this impact is because it's brushless. It has 250 foot-pounds of fastening torque, which is the next best producing 3/8 impact from Milwaukee under the 2852-20. But it comes in an astonishing 4.8 inches. As you can see, it is definitely a stubby impact. It gives you a lot of room. If you put a shallow socket on this thing, you can get it like anywhere. It is really, really a cool impact. And it comes in only at 2 pounds. So my basic breakdown of this is, if size and weight is not an issue, the 2852-20 is definitely the way to go. Gives you the most power, it's the best value, and if you can deal with the little bit extra length and the little bit extra weight, you're going to be super, super happy with this impact. If size and weight is a concern to you and you're worried about the fatigue of having a bigger gun like that, you really can't go wrong with the 2554-20. This little stubby impact has tons of power, and when you wield it in your hand, you're like, man, this thing is tiny, but it works so well. Now, keep in mind, let's talk a little bit about M18 versus M12. The M12 was basically created because it has a smaller form factor battery. But with that being said, Milwaukee has created larger M12 batteries that are, 4 amp hour and all that. They go way up there. So really, it's not a huge sacrifice going from M18 to M12 because you can still get some pretty high amp hour batteries. Now, if you're just now starting to build your Milwaukee collection and you're a guy that doesn't own any Milwaukee tools, then you really need to consider, is it worth it going M18 versus M12? The M18 lineup does have a lot of tools in it, a lot of very useful tools like sawzalls and all these different saws and cutters and all these different things. And so if you're just now starting your tool collection, the M18 would probably be a better option because they have so many more tools. And if you're going to invest in M18 batteries and things and chargers and all that types of stuff, you're going to be able to expand a better collection with the M18. The M12, they do have, drills and ratchets and all these different things that are really good tools, but the tool selection is a little bit limited. What you'll find is that a lot of guys own both, and me included. I love the M12 ratchets and this little stubby impact right here. It is really, really nice. But I also own a lot of M18 tools that is not offered in the M12 lineup. So a lot of guys will run both and have batteries for both just because there's so many good tools in both collections. But if you're just starting out, I highly recommend you go with the M18 because there's just a lot more to choose from and you're probably going to have a better tool selection. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I definitely recommend these two impacts from their entire collection. And like I said, I will have links to both of them in the video description. If you guys have any questions on any of the impacts here or just the Milwaukee lineups in general, feel free to post them below and I'll do my best to answer them. Until then, guys, good luck with your new tools. I hope this video was helpful and you guys have a great day.